You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Hello and welcome into this week's episode of the Show Before the Show podcast, the official podcast of minor league baseball. We are rounding the corner into the final hours of the 2025 minor league baseball season. My name is Tyler Mon, Sam Dykstra and Benjamin Hill in New York City. Gents, what's going on?
Yeah, I would say not much, but I mean, there is a ton going on in the baseball world this week. I mean, obviously the major leagues, I feel like every time I look at the standings, the AL has flipped.
Yeah.
Somehow Cleveland is now in the driver's seat to go to the postseason.
Yeah.
Would not have guessed that a month ago. Would not have
It's
guessed
also
that.
like every time you look, even if it's like in the middle of a day when nobody's playing, you're like, wait a minute, was that team always there? What's going on there? Like it is chaos, man.
Yeah. The New York Yankees are very much in the AL East race, which I think if you asked anybody in this city the last 3 or 4 months, you'd be like, oh, it's a disappointing Yankee season. Like they really haven't put it together. Now they might be getting a bye if all goes together. Like it's fun. It's fun. It's what makes this sport fun, is that so much we talk about like, oh, you got to play all 162. And then you get drawn into the narratives that it's all over by mid-August. And it's not at all.
Yeah.
So I think this is better for baseball when we're talking about more teams potentially in the postseason.
Absolutely.
I know it's not great when you have like the NL wild card and like the Reds, the D-backs, and the Mets are all kind of hovering around 500 to get that final spot.
Yeah.
Like you would want somebody stronger fighting for it. But those are 3 cities that really care about baseball right
Absolutely.
now. And I think that's only a good thing.
That, I think, is a very good way to put it. It's very exciting. I was thinking about this. I have a friend who's a Reds fan, and he was like, I'm not doing this to throw shade, but was it like this for you when the Rockies were in the running in 17 and 18? And I was like, yeah, there is no cooler experience as a sports fan than being in a pennant race, being in a playoff race. Because in any other sport, it's still stressful, but like even in hockey and basketball, you can wake up and be like, all right, they don't play. You can wake up on a Tuesday and be like, all right, they're not going to play until Friday or whatever it is. Like there are those little breathers. Baseball is just like an anxiety attack every moment of every day in September, which as a sports fan, if you can manage your emotions, can be very fun and cool. I posted this last night. I said, like, for the cities that are regularly in pennant chases, like you really don't know how good you have it. It is so much fun. And for those of us who languish in places where we don't get to experience it regularly, very jealous of that.
Yeah, I mean, just listening to the Mets broadcast on radio the last few nights, because I've been doing some cleaning at my old apartment as I get ready to move out of there. And just hearing the constant updates of like, here's what's going on between Cincinnati and Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And like
Scoreboard
everybody's
watching.
caring about that game as much as they are what they're listening to between the Mets and the Chicago Cubs.
Oh, man,
I love that. It has that old school feel of, you hear about like the old ticker, that you would there would be gatherings around the bar just to see the results come in from Cincinnati or Chicago or Pittsburgh or Philadelphia, as you're also listening to the radio to find out what the New York Giants are doing.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's really a throwback to see all this come through. I mean, Ben, the Phillies have pretty much wrapped things up. So what are you doing as you're watching all this? Is it basically scouting to see who they're going to face in an LDS, potential LCS, maybe even a World Series?
Yeah, a little bit of that. I mean, I just going back to being a fan as a kid, and the Phillies were way more often than not good. I learned from an early age to find meaning in every game, and I still just try to find like little storylines I'm looking for, the stories of particular players. So I just kind of say, hey, let's just hang out and watch a ball game, even if it doesn't have a ton of intrigue. But yet, with this new system, it's not as dramatic or high stakes as, you're either in or out. But of course, there's the seeding. There's getting the bye. Then there's like, oh, you're gonna be the number 1 or number 2. by going to clinch home field all the way through the playoffs. I mean, the Phillies probably won't do that. The Brewers will. So you always have something to pay attention to on that front and just enjoy baseball. And last night's Phillies game, we're talking here on Thursday, it was incredible. They hit 8 home runs. And we'll actually get into that game specifically later in this episode because we have a minor league tie-in with that. Because we are, contrary to this opening, a minor league baseball podcast, the official podcast of minor league baseball. As we're speaking now, there's a winner-take-all Game 5 in the Southern League going on right now. That was
Game 3.
Or Game 3, yes. Man, they should play 5 games.
I wish they could play 7.
Yeah, me too. But that was suspended yesterday due to weather. So as we're speaking on Thursday afternoon, the Birmingham Barons and Montgomery Biscuits are trying to figure out who the Southern League title winner will be. One of those teams has a 5-1 lead. It's the Barons, right?
The Barons have a lead. But even the Biscuits were tweeting out like, oh, we've got 2 runners on as we resume play. Like, we're not out of this. I just imagine like you're spending the entire night planning for that first at bat. It's like, okay, this is the situation. Everybody know what you're doing here. And imagine the Biscuits coming out and just bunting or something.
Kind of stressful as the hitter to just like have to be, laying in bed. You're in the middle of your at bat. And it's suspended in the ether, and you just have to like lay there and think about it. Although that's why professional athletes are professional athletes, and I'm not. Like, it's probably, I've done this a bajillion times. I'll be fine.
Yeah, like the 2008 World Series Game 5, which the Phillies ended up winning it all. That game had was not just suspended, and there was a whole day after that where they still could not play. So they had this just in progress game. You had to wait like 48 hours for it to conclude. What a surreal thing.
Well, it is minor league postseason time. We got a lot of that to talk about as we get rolling on this week's episode of the show before the show. Wherever you found us, thanks for tuning in on this week's episode. You can, of course, as always, get in touch with this podcast at MiLB.com. The minor league season wrapping up on Saturday. But as we head into the offseason, if you've got questions or thoughts or topics you'd like us to cover, we got a lot of fun stuff coming up, but feel free to hit us up, podcast at MiLB.com. And with that, we're going to kick off this week's episode, and we have to kick it off on a somber note, unfortunately. The passing of a minor league baseball legend a few days ago, former manager Buddy Bailey, who is a longtime manager and one of the winningest managers in minor league baseball history, passed away at the age of 68. His death was actually announced on Tuesday by his former Venezuelan Winter League team, the Tigres de Aragua, who he took to 6 titles in the Venezuelan Winter League. Buddy Bailey, over his minor league career, 11 cities, almost 40 years, nearly 2,500 minor league wins, 2,417 in total. He won a Carolina League title in 2016 with the Myrtle Beach Pelicans, and he managed through the 2024 season. Really sad. I mean, this is a guy who, is somewhat of a passing breed in that long-time grizzled baseball lifer. I mean, a guy who has managed, since his 20s. We don't see a lot of that right now. I feel like we're maybe in a transitional period where, 30, 40 years from now, we will see some of these guys who took the reins of teams at really young ages.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Being at that stage in their careers, but there's been a lot of transition in minor league coaching ranks in recent years. And Buddy Bailey, I mean, just an incredible baseball life.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, Tyler, just the amount of different places that he managed. He started out at Pulaski in 1983, back when that was a Braves affiliate. He played in the Braves system, so I think that's why they hired him. They knew who he was as a guy who was a former catcher and first baseman in the system. 1983, that first year, has a 639 winning percentage with Pulaski in the Appalachian League at just his age 26 season. It's pretty early to hang him up in terms of a baseball career, but to immediately transfer over to the managing ranks and stay there from 1983 all the way through 2024, making stops at every level, really. That's, Pulaski at the time was rookie ball, moved to single A in 1985, was up in double A by 1988. His first year managing a triple A team was in 1993 with the Pawtucket Red Sox. Took a break between 96 and 2002, but was back in Pawtucket in 2002 with AAA. Managing the Cub system in 2006 and stayed there all the way through 2024 with Daytona, Iowa, Tennessee, Myrtle Beach, like you said, South Bend, moving to all these places. And I think a big reason for that was his experience and saying, I've seen it all. I can help you guys. And think about some of the players who were coming through that Cubs system at the time, the Chris Bryants, the Javi Baez's. That was a time when it was really big for the Cubs in terms of player development, and having a steady hand like that, like Buddy Bailey, somebody who's had consistent success and helped breed that Cubs team that ended up winning a World Series, I'm sure was massively influential. You talked about how the role of the manager has kind of changed, I think, in recent years. And it used to be, hey, let's get a good, strong voice in there to help, guide these basically kids, right? Minor leaguers in the early parts of their career. Now it's who has our organizational philosophy, and who can we plug in and trust to continue to teach the way we want to be taught, or our players to be taught. So a little bit of a dying breed in that way, that the lifer's going away. But to his credit, I mean, Buddy Bailey was with the Cubs for a long time. Obviously something was working there. So, like you said, it's incredible the amount of wins he picked up, just the longevity he had, and the fact that he was able to do it not only on American shores, but also in Venezuela, where they speak a completely different language, obviously, in Spanish, and still being able to manage those teams to great success. It was rather incredible. I mean, Ben, you're somebody who's incredibly interested in managerial wins and who's climbing the ladder. Yeah. Incredibly interested. I mean, you've talked about this on the show in the past.
I am. I like milestones. I like history. And Buddy Bailey is third all time with over 2,400 wins. Fourth all time with like 2,417, I believe, wins. A career that goes back to 1983. I didn't know him personally. I'm sure I was in the same ballpark as him several times throughout my travels, and I was aware of his name for so long. Now, of course, as is the case, I wish I had talked to him. But I was aware of his reputation, and he was definitely, kind of to your point, Sam, he was an old school guy. He was known for a more gruff and imposing style of coaching, which fit right in at the era in which he started his career, and he was definitely an anomaly by the end of it. I don't want to really get into generational specifics, and I don't know the specifics. But I have heard in my travels, people complaining about today's players. They can't take criticism, or today's players, they expect the messaging to be delivered in a certain way. And I'm not going to judge one thing one way or another, but I think Buddy Bailey was more of a no filter, tell it like it is, old school gruff kind of guy who came from that mentality, and probably did have some clashes as his career progressed, because his style was not as prevalent in the minor leagues as he went on. But he did find a way to keep going all the way through 2024. The obituary that ran on MLB.com, written by our colleague Joe Trezza, includes a quote from P. Crow Armstrong from a couple years ago. He played Bailey in Myrtle Beach with the Pelicans in 2022. And he said, I think there were a lot of guys who may have been intimidated by Buddy Bailey's school style of coaching, but sometimes that's the perfect way to go about things. I think he was super impactful on me, only because I don't think he ever made me feel like I had earned what I was getting. Big for me. Buddy Bailey was incredible. So it worked there, but not a mentality that is as prevalent in today's kind of managerial and coaching. And like you said, so much tying into larger organizational philosophies and more analytical. And it's hard for a dude who started his career in the Apple League in the early 1980s to last all the way through 2024 with the changes to minor league baseball. I mean, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and then the endorsement of PCA in particular is a pretty big one. I mean, this is not somebody who's like 34 years old and been around the block several times and like, oh, this is what worked for me. This is a young guy, a young star in the game whose voice carries a lot of weight, and could have easily been turned off by it. But the fact that he embraced it and gave Buddy Bailey credit, I think is huge. And I'm glad Joe included that in the story.
Yeah. And like you said, a legend in Venezuela, like not just like a guy who was kind of known, like legit legend in Venezuela.
I have a friend who is a Venezuelan baseball reporter. He's a sports anchor on a TV show, and posted a video of an interview that he did with Buddy Bailey on Venezuelan TV. And that was one of the first things that I saw. I was aware that Buddy Bailey had managed there. I was not aware to what level he was a legend in Venezuela. But I mean, the Venezuelan Winter League is as intense of baseball as exists on the planet. If you can win 6 titles in the LVBP, you're doing something right. And yeah, that is really cool to see somebody who transcended the life of just a normal minor league grinder manager.
Yeah. A Norristown native, pretty close to where I grew up. Also, my piazza's from there as well. So given town outside of Philadelphia, shout out there. Good product from Norristown.
Well, rest in peace to Buddy Bailey, and of course, our thoughts with his family, not just his, biological family, but his baseball family as well. And pretty amazing career and life in baseball for Buddy Bailey. Well, moving on, you fellas, man, if it's a weekend where you like the show before the show podcast and you're looking for something to do, it's a good weekend for you to have MLB Network on, because you're going to be saturated with the three of us. Coming up on, I guess it's after the weekend, but on Monday, you two guys are going to be on MLB Network, the award show for minor league baseball coming up in 2025.
Yeah, you can think about it all weekend. And watch it on
Harness
Monday.
The anticipation. You get flooded by me and Jim Callis in your living room or wherever on Saturday, and then on Monday you get Sam and Ben. This is a fantastic few days you got coming up.
It really is. Can't get enough of it. But this is the 3rd annual Minor League Baseball Award Show on the MLB Network, and it's mostly player based because that's the nature of this. This is baseball first and foremost. But so Sam can speak to, and will speak next week once all the winners have been announced. To some of those winners. But of course, I want to highlight that the best alternate identity will be announced, and we've gone over those in recent weeks, and I don't have it up in front of me now, so I won't tediously give them all again. But
voting is closed.
Voting is closed, so sorry, that's another reason I won't give it. So stay tuned to see who wins best alternate identity award. And once again, I've done my own award show within the award show, making up 6 categories solely for the purpose of honoring weird things I saw at minor league ballparks in the year of our Lord 2025. So happy to do that again, and happy to see how that is all part of a larger and minor league baseball centric finished product. There's not much primetime hours devoted strictly to minor league baseball, and we get it on Monday, which is of course a perfect day to air the minor league baseball awards because the AAA championship will have just happened, and that is the sort of off day in MLB between the end of the regular season and the playoffs. So you're looking for baseball that night? We got it.
Yeah. Monday at 8:00 on MLB Network. Just to run through, because I don't think we've done this yet, just the hitting prospect of the year award finalists and the pitching prospect of the year finalists real quick. On the hitting side, we have 3 finalists, all of which are in our top 6 overall prospects over at MLB Pipeline. They are, and I will go here in alphabetical order by last name: Connor Griffin of the Pittsburgh Pirates, shortstop / outfielder; Kevin McGonigal, shortstop for the Detroit Tigers; and JJ Weatherholtz, shortstop / second baseman for the St. Louis Cardinals. Those are our 3 finalists for the hitting award. On the pitching side, we'll go alphabetically here by last name: Griffin Herring, who pitched both in the New York Yankees and Colorado Rockies systems, is our first finalist; Jonah Tong of the New York Mets; and Trey Savage of the Toronto Blue Jays. So those are our 3 finalists for the pitching award. Well, actually, I don't have as long a segment as Ben does. Ben gets to hand out his own awards, which is very fun. I got to watch that get filmed the other day. My segment is all 45 seconds breaking down the pitching winner. But you can see both of our faces on national television, which is always fun.
Yeah, that's all anyone's looking for. I got a full 3.5 minutes, Mr. Primetime over
I know,
here.
Ben's just stealing airtime from the rest of us.
Yeah.
But there'll also be Prospect Team of the Year award announcements, Breakout Prospect of the Year award, and Defensive Player of the Year as well. So tons to tune into. There will be players involved. It should be a very, very fun show once it all comes together on Monday at 8 o'clock Eastern on MLB Network.
Big stuff coming up. And just to preempt both of those guys and insert myself into the conversation, as noted, Jim Callis and I will be on the AAA National Championship game coming up on Saturday night, 7 o'clock local time start in Las Vegas. But the reason I bring that up is not just to beg you all to watch, but it is to point out that the Las Vegas Aviators will be playing in their first ever AAA National Championship game at their home ballpark. They, as of last night, we're recording this on Thursday the 25th, they won their first title in decades in capturing a Pacific Coast League crown. They move on to the AAA National Championship game where they will face either the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders or the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. That title in the International League is to be decided tonight. Sam and I will talk about this a little bit more. But Ben, that was one of the longest title droughts in minor league baseball history, and that is now it's a thing of the past for Vegas.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish we could speak to title droughts in all minor league baseball history. Boy, would that be an undertaking, going through all since 1903, all the defunct leagues, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, probably in all minor league baseball history. It was the second longest title drought among current minor league baseball teams because the Las Vegas AAA franchise had not won a title since 1988. And that was the second among all active minor league teams. Only the Syracuse Mets have had gone longer. They still are looking for their first title since 1976. But pretty cool to see Vegas after all those years later. What is it, 1988? 37 years later?
37 years.
Yeah, 37 years between championships. They finally erased that drought. The last team to win a title, a Pacific Coast League title in Las Vegas, was the 1988 Las Vegas Stars, and they were a Padres affiliate. So I bet you guys could guess a few players on that team. A Padres affiliate, AAA Padres affiliate, very good team.
Ken Caminiti.
Who you got? Ken Caminiti? No.
Oh, really?
Was Tony Gwynn on the team?
Give me three. No, Tony Gwynn was already in the.
Yeah, I was gonna say
he was already in. 1988 Padres affiliate.
There's a couple you can get.
I'm trying to think of like Padres in.
Steve Finley, no.
Dang it.
Two of them went on to be stars, and they were related to each other.
The pitching brothers.
You're thinking of the Bennises?
I was thinking of the Bennises.
No, these were
really
hitters.
Andy and Alan Bennis. No good.
Oh, Gary Sheffield?
Nope.
Roberto and Sandy
Alomar.
Yep.
Roberto only played 9 games for the team that year, but Sandy was a regular.
What about
Sandy?
Here's a random Padre of the past. Was Benito Santiago on that team?
He was not. He was, I believe, had just broken into the majors at that time.
Okay.
But you had. This is a little tougher because this guy had played in the majors quite a bit before he played 53 games for the 1988 Las Vegas Stars. Bruce Bochy.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So, but if you want to contextualize how long it had been since Vegas won a title, the last time Vegas won a title, Bruce Bochy was playing. That makes it seem like but he was also 33 years old and had logged significant major league time by that point, but he did spend 53 games. And a guy I want to shout out as well, Bip Roberts. Good old Bip Roberts. I always liked Bip Roberts as a kid because he was in a really funny commercial with Tony Gwynn. He had some good years there in the late 80s, early 90s. Bip Roberts. And Greg Harris was a good pitcher on that team who was known for his ambidexterity, although he only did it in a major league game one time. But he was a legit ambidextrous fellow.
That is pretty cool.
I felt pretty embarrassed there for a second for saying Gary Sheffield, but now because I'm like, he did play for the Padres for a hot minute, but I forgot about the Brewers era before that. Anyways,
yeah,
just wanted to get that off my chest in case everybody was like, Gary Sheffield. Why would you say Gary Sheffield? He did play in AAA in 1988, so it wasn't completely.
You weren't that far.
Anyway,
so Las Vegas is off the list. Number 1 remains Syracuse. Moving into number 2, the Iowa Cubs. who have not won anything since 1993.
Wow.
And Salt Lake Bees, established in 94, never won. Beloit, now the Sky Carp, they haven't won since 95 when they were the Snappers. Rochester Red Wings haven't won since 97, Charlotte Knights since 99, and also the Harrisburg Senators since 99. And after that, you'd have to go to Dayton Dragons, established in 2000, and have never won. I'll stop the list there. But and me, covering up, fully attuned to like the players on these playoff teams, I'm always like, we breaking any droughts this year? And we did. That's what I say. We breaking any droughts this year? And we did.
Every day, Ben walks up to his cubicle.
Breaking any droughts this year? Well, big congratulations to the Las Vegas Aviators. See you this weekend for the AAA National Championship game live on MLB Network from 7 o'clock Pacific time on Saturday. Very excited for that. I'll be alongside your friend and ours, Jim Callis, and Sandy Charles, who will be on sidelines for us coming up on Saturday. We're going to have a whole boatload of fun. And before we wrap up segment number one, we do Name That Dude regularly. This is sort of just a different version of Name That Dude, but we owe a congratulations to, you remember former Marlins prospect Lewin Diaz?
We do, yes.
Lewin Diaz last night, I guess technically tonight, I believe, hit his 49th home run of the season for the Samsung Lions of the Korea Baseball Organization, which gives him the most home runs for a foreign player in KBO history. Just very cool. Big congratulations to Lewin Diaz. We're just seeing home run records broken all over the place. Very cool stuff. I love a random dude who's still making it happen overseas. For a while, it was like Darren Ruff. Remember Darren Ruff of former Philly? Former Philly.
Reading Fighting Phil's legend.
Former Omaha West Side Warrior. Darren Ruff, former Creighton Blue Jay. He went over to Korea and just mashed over there for a while. And every once in a while, I just look up and be like, what is Darren Ruff doing? And he's, hitting 340 with a 1100 OPS. He was amazing. But I love seeing those guys have success in the international leagues. So that'll do it for our opening segment. But we have not one, but two Ben Hill speared interviews this week. Ben, what do we got up first?
What do we have up first? Well, I just recently mentioned the Iowa Cubs, who now have the second longest title drought in minor league baseball, haven't won anything since 1993. Somebody who was around for that 93 title and then some is Iowa Cubs president Sam Burnaby. He announced this week that he is easing into retirement, as the press release put it, and is no longer going to be running the team on a day-to-day basis. That job will now be held by Randy Wayhofer, who's been with the Iowa Cubs for a long time. Was a broadcaster before that with the Burlington Bees.
He was in the movie Sugar.
He was in the movie Sugar. Randy Wayhofer was. He's now leading the Iowa Cubs on a day-to-day basis because Sam Burnaby is stepping back. He's still going to be involved with the team. He's still going to be doing consulting for DBH, Diamond Baseball Holdings, which owns the Iowa Cubs now. But Sam Burnaby, his career started in 1983. Well, he was hired in December of 1983 at the baseball winter meetings to be an intern for the Iowa Cubs. Started working for the team in 1984. And in the wake of him stepping down from day-to-day operations, I was like, you know what? I interviewed Sam Burnaby when I was in Principal Park, home of the Iowa Cubs, earlier this season in May. And I hadn't really done much with it. And I thought, now's the time. So in my newsletter, The Baseball Traveler, and in a corresponding article on MiLB.com and MLB.com, now here's the interview itself with Sam Burnaby talking about his long minor league baseball career with the Iowa Cubs, titan of the industry, one of the biggest veterans out there, talking about it all, going all the way back to his origin story in 1983. Sam Burnaby.
So what was your start with the team?
The ball club hired me as an intern at the winter meetings in Nashville in 1983. And I was from Des Moines, and I knew the owners. They didn't know me in the Loda Hay, but I knew who they were. And they were coming out of the Jack Daniels bar at the Opryland, and I was walking into it, and I just introduced myself and said, "I know you. You don't know me, but I'm from Des Moines." And Mr. Granquist said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "I'm looking for a job." So why don't you come back to Des Moines? So I did. And I was dating my girlfriend, not my wife at the time, and it worked out really good. I could live with my dad and save some rent money, and he paid me $300 a month, and there I started.
Yeah, so baseball was taking place in some ways the same as it is now, AAA right here, but that was a very different era of minor league baseball. You were in a different ballpark.
Yeah.
What was 1983 or 1984 like here and in minor league baseball? What are your memories of it?
Well, the old stadium was the old stadium. I mean, every once in a while I get somebody that would just say, "Don't you just kind of miss the old Sec Taylor Stadium?" And I just emphatically say, "Hell no."
Yeah.
I couldn't get out of it fast enough. I mean, things we had to do to get it ready every day. And there was only 5 of us running the operation at the time, and that included me as an intern. And the city of Des Moines was the groundskeepers, and it was just guys that picked up garbage in the parks in the morning and then came and groomed the field in the afternoon. So there was no real qualified groundskeeper at the time. And so we were doing everything from cooking hot dogs to washing the umpire's towels to dragging the diamond to cleaning the park to selling the tickets. We did everything. And even in the smallest markets and in the smallest operations, you couldn't get away with that. The business of the game is just way too big anymore. You couldn't possibly do that.
Oh, not even close. So then how did your career evolve from that 42 years ago to now? I mean, I know it's been a lot of evolution.
Yeah.
But what was the pathway?
They hired me as an intern, and then they hired me full-time, put me on the payroll 5 months later, I guess. And and then they made me the director of operations the following year, and we were still only an office of about 7 people. And then they made me the general manager of the club in November of '86. And then Mr. Granquist passed away in April of '99, and Michael Gartner brought me in as a owner with he and Michael Giudice, the 3 of us on the team, in October of '99, and made me the president of the team, and that's where it's at now. Other than we sold Michael and my other partner, and we sold the team to the DBH. We were the first out of the gate for DBH, December of '21.
Wow.
So, and they said, "We'd sure like you to stay," and I said, "Okay, I'll stay. You keep paying me, I'll keep showing up." So that's what I do.
So here you are.
Here I am. Yeah.
I know the ballpark construction, when you went from the old ballpark to Principal Park, was a really accelerated timeline. I mean, what was it like being part of that
We
demolition and rebuild?
Yeah, we knocked the old one down and built a new one in 208 days, and that was in the dead of winter in Des Moines, Iowa. It included 10 days of asbestos removal on top of that. So Earl Santee was the principal architect for HOK, Populous, and he always hated it when he heard me telling somebody or touting the fact that we knocked the park down and built a new one in 208 days, because then that meant it could be done, and so he had to listen to everybody. Feel like they could get it done in their market as well. But it was, we were battling. We were bolting seats in and doing all we could to get ready to go for April 16th, and we made it. It was a crummy night, and it was raining, and we had 11,000 people in the ballpark, and it was the new jewel. It was fun to have.
Yeah. Does it seem a little surreal now that this is the oldest ballpark in AAA?
It's I would think it would be more surreal if the park was in worse shape than it's in. I'm really proud of what we've been able to do to maintain it and keep it up, and our partnership with the city is just as important as our partnership with the Cubs, and that's all related to how the stadium is held up for being 35 years old, but it is, it takes a lot of work. My staff does a great job of staying on top of it and doing the things that need to be done, and the city does a great job of staying on top of it and doing the things that need to be done. fortunately, really doesn't need any major overhaul. It probably could use a little hug and an extra kiss here and there. But other than that, it's in pretty good shape.
Yeah. So, sitting here now in 2025 and your career going back 42 years, I mean, I don't know how to phrase this really, but just how is it? Does it seem surreal to look back at where you started and like where things are now, or does it all just seem so incremental that you're just taking one thing at a time?
There are things that come about every once in a while that you kind of, I think back, but man, we really battled that old building and that all the things that went with it. In fact, somebody tonight pulled up a baseball card. It was a 1984 baseball card of me and the staff. We got our cards within the staff or within the team card set, and it was all the staff, and we had fun with it. But every once in a while they'll pop one of those up, and I was standing with Mark Shimming in the picture. Mark was the stadium operations guy, and it was about 100 pounds ago, and I think to myself, man, what the stuff we used to do to just get through, we were dragging people in by the collar and trying to keep the stadium up, and finally came to the point where something had to give. I mean, we couldn't continue to do business in the stadium we were doing it in because we were doing a lot of business, and the expenses were still outpacing the revenue because of the game was growing and the stadium wasn't, and we were trying to build the attendance, and so something had to give, and so that's how the stadium came about. But you think about those first, I guess, 8-9 years of dealing with. We had to teach people how to come to the ballpark, and they learned well. And then we realized we needed more of a stadium rather than just a building that we could put 5,000 people in. And the evolution's been fun. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah. So especially in those early days, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of good memories, but it sounds really stressful and exhausting. What was it that kept you not just in this industry, but with this team?
Well, it is baseball. I mean, I get to drive down the freeway every morning knowing that my office is at the ballpark. That's probably at the top of the list of fun things to think about every day. Every job has its stresses. Every job has its problems, but that's when you're running a team. That's all you do is solve problems. You try to make it as easy for everybody that works for you to be that problem solver when that time comes. And when you have a really good staff, those problems are easier solved over time than having to try to battle the problem and the staff at the same time. I don't have that issue. I haven't had it, and so it's there's a level of gratification that goes with the fact that it's the game of baseball, the fact that it's a lot of fans over a long period of time. That I told somebody the other day that the thing I like most about what I do is the noise. I love listening to the noise when the crowd's excited and when everybody's having a good time, and we hit a walk-off home run, or after the fireworks are finished, or somebody's hit a triple in the corner, and it's the noise that goes with all that. That's really what I thrive on, I guess.
Yeah, and you mentioned the staff. There's a lot of longevity among the staff. I mean, you're at the top of the list, but I know there's a lot of people here with 25, 30, 20, and in an industry of constant turnover like minor league baseball. I guess employee retention has been a big priority for you, but what are the circumstances that led to a pretty rare level of stability?
Well, I think we always liked we worked under the idea that if somebody was a terrific employee, we wanted to make sure that they were a terrific employee for us. Mm-hmm. And so I guess I feel like we've always taken care of our employees to the best of our ability, and then some. And a lot of them have decided to make this their final stop. They're raising families here, and we've just been really lucky to keep the quality people that decided to stay with the operation and with with the game and what they're doing. And you know, I've doing it for 42 years. I've had a lot of people around that probably had aspirations of being a general manager at some point somewhere, and they knew they weren't going to be here for a while. Fortunately, I didn't screw that up, so I didn't give them a chance to move up. But they've hung in it, and you know, we've tried to compensate them accordingly to make sure they were comfortable and could make a living, and you know, be a part of the team and be a part of the family.
I often ask people, you know, favorite memories over a long career, and I know everything blurs together, and when people ask me this kind of thing, they blur together, but what about maybe weird or surreal memories? Just working in minor league baseball, you have to deal with so many on-the-spot strange situations, weird delays, interactions with fans, dealing with the players or umpires. Are there anything that comes to mind of like, oh, that was a weird minor league baseball moment?
Yeah, there's probably
I mean, I'm sure there's hundreds of them.
There's probably a top 5 in every category for me. But there was one night I was in the old ballpark. I was standing out kind of by the bullpen, talking to somebody, and I looked over, and we had a catcher named Hector Villanueva that played for us, and he was a character, a really good player. I don't know how his career either progressed or ended, but in any event, he was fun to have, and he was gregarious, and fan favorite. And so anyway, he was out in the bullpen for the evening. He wasn't playing. He was catching bullpens, and I was watching, and all of a sudden he was standing at the fence, and there was a little kid standing there talking to him. And then all of a sudden the little kid turned around and went on the dead sprint away from him. And I thought, what happened here? And so I'm watching, and a few minutes later the kid comes back, and he's got 2 cheeseburgers from the grill in his hands. And so I'm thinking, what's he doing with this? And so all of a sudden Hector leans over and hands him a bat and a baseball, and for the 2 cheeseburgers that he was going to eat down in the bullpen. And that was early on in my career, and that kind of typifies the beginning of the fan interaction with the minor league player and how close it gets to everybody. And you know, you'd have to try to do that at the big league level, and you'd get arrested, you know, for even trying to talk to anybody with a cheeseburger in their hand to ask them for a bat. But you know, that kind of began the fan relationship with a minor league player for me, I guess, as I recall.
Yeah, and I guess then I'll finish with the cliche question of just favorite memories or stuff that really stands out when you say that was just incredible moment.
Well, I guess I always enjoy looking at the picture of me standing at home plate when the players came back out of the locker room after we'd won the league championship in 1993. And they all had a bottle of champagne, and they all stood there and dumped it all over me. I guess that was a fun moment. Never playing or being in that situation and understanding how much it means to win at this level and win a league championship, and being a part of that and having the players make me a part of that was fun. I remember that vividly. I remember the champagne was really cold, and it was a cold night, but I wouldn't have traded it for anything in the world.
Beautiful.
That was Sam Burnaby of the Iowa Cubs talking about his long career. And now we have a bonus interview based on current events. The Phillies crushed the Marlins on Wednesday evening at Citizens Bank Park, hitting 8 home runs, including 3 by Edmundo Sosa, the most by a Phillies shortstop in history. No Phillies shortstop had ever hit 3 home runs in a game. And that third Edmundo Sosa home run was caught and then dropped by a fan in left field, and they had to review it for interference. And this fan is, all over the broadcast, being upset, being like, I can't believe I dropped that, blah, 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 blah. Turns out that fan is a member of the Iron Pigs, Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs front office staff. The Iron Pigs, of course, being the Phillies AAA affiliate. The Phillies had people in attendance from all their minor league operations at the game. And Peter Schiffert, the director of sponsorship services for the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, he dropped that ball. And I was able to talk to him about that and his misadventures at the Phillies game. And his coworkers are having a lot of fun with it. And check out Iron Pigs social media to see them clowning on him and we'll talk to him right now.
On Wednesday evening, the Philadelphia Phillies hit a franchise record 8 home runs on their way to an 11-1 victory. That record-breaking 8th home run was hit by shortstop Edmundo Sosa, his 3rd home run of the game. No Philly shortstop had ever homered 3 times in a game before. Sosa's 3rd home run was a line drive to left field that barely cleared the fence. In fact, it bounced off a fan and went back onto the field. I'm here with that fan now, and he's not just any fan. He's the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs manager of sponsorship services, Peter Schiffert. Peter, how's it going?
I'm good, Ben. Thanks for the nice little introduction there. I'm doing really well. Hand's doing all right so far. The pride and ego is a little hurt, but that's something I can build off of after the next couple of days here and get over. But I've seen a couple better days, that's for sure.
Yeah, so I want to get into what happened here because this is, this game didn't mean a ton for the Phillies, having already wrapped up the division. But this was a historic home run. They never hit 8 in the game before. A shortstop had never hit 3. It comes right to you. What are you thinking? What's your reaction? How did this go down?
So yeah, throughout the pretty much the whole game, just I was down there for a couple of innings, and there was a lot of home runs hit. Obviously, that game, and the person I was with, one of my old coworkers and friends, she mentioned, she was like, hey, like, why are there no home runs this direction? Not a single one has come our way. Everyone's either gone opposite field or pulled it down the right field line or straightaway center field. And that was probably the batter right before Sosa. And as soon as he came up to bat, we were kind of talking about having the ball come our way. And sure enough, it might have been a pitch or two later. It got up in the air, and I thought maybe I had a chance at it. And then I saw it getting closer and closer, and I kind of stood up and I know as a baseball fan myself not to reach too far over the wall there. Luckily, it's a little bit of an extension, and sure enough, right off the hands, right off the thumb, and bounced right back into play. And I knew it was a home run, and then they kind of paused the game. They heard it was fan interference, and that's when it really sunk in. I was like, oh no, did I just ruin this?
Yeah, they're looking at the replay, and maybe there's a chance that you took away Sosa's 3 home run game. They don't get that franchise record. That would have been embarrassing for any fan, but you were there not just as a fan. You were there as an employee of the Iron Pigs. Can you tell me about the context in which you were at this game?
Yeah, so every year, with our president GM, Kurt Landis, he lets us, we kind of get an affiliate night with one of the suites. So we invite ourselves, we got ourselves invited with the Iron Pigs. We get Reading, the Fighting Phils. We had the Jersey Shore Blue calls out. And we try to get a lot of the affiliates and their employees to come out and kind of just enjoy a night out. So yeah, we had a suite upstairs. If I stayed in that suite the whole night, none of this would have happened. But of course, like I said, I have a friend that was down there. I haven't seen in a while. I just wanted to connect with her real quick, say hi. And I sat down for a couple innings, and sure enough, it was the inning that they teed off and hit all the home runs. And of course, the one with Sosa. So definitely didn't want to be on the wrong side of history. I'm glad it still stayed over the wall. Like I said, I knew how far I could reach, and not to reach straight out, try to just reach downwards a little bit. But yeah, my heart sunk when they started reviewing it, and I was like, oh my! I didn't even look at the video board. I was so like just laughing and just kind of frustrated myself for not catching history, which at the time I didn't know. But luckily, after the review, clear as day, I did not reach over the outfield wall. So still upheld the home run for Sosa.
Yeah, so all your coworkers with the Iron Pigs are in a suite as this is going down. As you said, you're the only team employee down there in home run catching position, just because you happen to know somebody. They saw this on the replay and they're freaking out. They put it all over social media. Seemed like they had a great time right from the jump, making fun of you, making it kind of a semi-viral thing, at least in the Philadelphia area. Yeah, what was the reaction? I mean, first of all, what was the reaction around just the fans sitting near you? Like, were you looked at as kind of like, oh man, this guy just might have blown it? And then two, going back to your coworkers, what was that like?
Yeah. So I think the initial reaction, people were a little bit upset that I might have, interfered with history. Like I said, I didn't know it was history, but just interfering with a home run. Philadelphia is a very passionate fan base. If you do anything incorrectly like that, they're going to let you hear it. So my initial reaction after the review was, oh my God, like what's going to happen? And then obviously the home run counted, and everyone just kind of pointed at me a little bit and laughed and just kind of like shook it off, where it was like, that was so close. Like, come on, man, you got to make that catch. So it was a good laughter a little bit. And right away, I knew the reaction of my friends, family, the employees up in the suite was going to come fast. Right away, one of the employees up in the suite gave me a call on my phone, was yelling at me, "Was that you? Why are you down there? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah." So I knew right away something was going to happen. And then after that, my brother called me, and that's when I learned that, hey, by the way, you dropped history. It was the first time the Phillies had hit 8 home runs in a game ever since Bank Parker. So I was like, you got to be kidding me. Of course I dropped history. So all the guys upstairs knew that. After I kind of left, I think at the top of the ninth thing, I kind of head back up to the suite. And the initial reaction in the suite was a round of boos, lots of booing, a lot of jawing at me of why couldn't you catch it? You got to be kidding me, stuff like that. And our social media manager, Owen, was pretty quick to get the phone out and start getting the initial reaction of everything. So it was definitely a surreal moment. Never been that close in general to a home run, let alone one hitting me in the hands. But like I said, I'm grateful I was not on the wrong side of history, costing a home run if I did accidentally reach over the fence a little too far.
Yeah, wish you could have caught that, John.
Yeah. Yeah.
And John, of course, being a catch-all Philly area slang word to mean just about anything. It's just like use it in place of just about any noun.
Yep.
And I bring that up because you were wearing, this ended up in some inadvertent advertising for the Iron Pigs, because you're wearing a Philly-style jersey that says John on it, JAWN. Yeah. That makes sense to people around the Philadelphia area, but if you could explain your wardrobe choice on the evening.
So yeah, it's just something I've always done since working with the Iron Pigs. Whenever I get an opportunity to go down to a Phillies game, it's just been my jersey of choice ever since we brought it out in 2019. It resonates with Philadelphia crowds. They love it. People, point and yell at me, like, "Oh, that John! Oh, look at that John!" and stuff like that. People are always a fan of that jersey, so it's always my go-to one. I've been wearing it for years. Anytime I kind of go to a Philadelphia Phillies game. But yeah, it was definitely something cool to, in a sense, advertise it again. I'll have to get our merchandise director maybe to do a limited release of some of those shirts again, because they've actually been gone for a little bit. At least shirt-wise and merchandise-wise, we haven't had it for a couple of years, so. Maybe with this spike of interest in my face and jersey now all over Philadelphia sports news, maybe Mike Luciano will bring it back into the store for a little bit. Do maybe limited release here in remembrance of the fan that didn't catch history.
Well, yeah, and in minor league baseball, the thought always goes to, does this have potential for some kind of promo or theme night? So could we see a Peter Schiffert bobble hands giveaway of you missing this foul ball or missing this home run ball?
That'd be something cool to kind of see my face on a bobblehead, maybe just a T-shirt or something like that. But like you said, in minor league baseball, you try to capitalize on stuff that you can, and if there's enough people liking that, maybe we do a limited release of something, whether, like you said, a bobble hands, anything where we can kind of jump on top of that. I'd love to be on board with it, and be happy to assist in any marketing and promotion of that. Heck, maybe we'll just do a free catch clinic on the field, and it's just how not to catch a ball.
There you go. Well, you had your moment of infamy, of national embarrassment, but you seem like you're having a good time with it, and all things considered, you almost glad it happened?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. I'm not one to be super upset with something like that. It could be a bit seen as a pretty embarrassing moment, but it happened. It's going to happen to a fan at some point, whether, the one person I got a text, it was like, good thing you didn't get a slice of pizza thrown at you from was it Bettman that he reached over, or his last name is back in the Cubs.
Yeah, that was Bartman, but the pizza was in Boston. The pizza was in Boston. Yeah.
Either way, I'm just glad I didn't interfere with the history like that and reach completely over. But yeah, I got, my phone blew up right after it happened. Friends, family. I think I got back. We took a bus down into Philly. I got back onto the bus to probably 70 text messages, 3 or 4 phone calls. The Instagram DMs were blowing up. I wasn't sure we'd post all of my reactions on social media until Owen, our social media manager, just kind of put it on there. and he had my full consent. I was okay with it. I was gonna makes for good content, that's for sure.
Yeah, if you get the chance to clown on a coworker, you got to.
Hmm. Exactly, definitely.
All right. Well, this has been Peter Schiffert, manager of sponsorship services for the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. Thanks so much for taking the time to speak with me.
Yeah, of course, Ben. Appreciate you having me on, and look forward to seeing what else happens in the next 24 hours with my, I guess, my newfound fame for a little bit.
Well, as we get set for the final steps of the minor league season, one of our last on-field conversations as it pertains to the minor league baseball campaign, we'll of course be talking Arizona Fall League and Winter Ball and all that kind of stuff over the coming weeks and months. But Sam, we've got champions crowned. We've already discussed some of that. Double A obviously coming down to the wire in the Southern League. The Triple A, one half of the Triple A National Championship game duo is set. We'll find out the other one coming up tonight between Scranton Wilkes-Barre and Jacksonville. But all kinds of other stuff as we put the finishing touches on this 2025 season.
Yeah, I mean, let's just start with this because this is something that is a very minor league topic over recent years, and we'll wrap up all the championship stuff in a second. But I think this is the big news of Major League Baseball beyond the postseason races this week is that the ABS automatic ball strike system challenge system is coming to the majors in 2026. That is officially confirmed, announced by MLB. There was a joint competition committee, which is comprised of owners, active players, and I believe one active umpire, voted to send it into play. So there will be 2 challenges per team per game. If your challenge is correct, you get it back. If it goes to extra innings and you have no more challenges left, you get 1 per extra inning. So if you have no challenges left in the 10th, you challenge in the 10th, you lose it. You go to the 11th, you get another one for the 11th. So, again, we've seen this in the minor leagues plenty. We've seen it at AAA. We've seen it in the Florida State League. We've seen it in the Arizona Fall League. ABS, I think people get scared of it or concerned about it, or some people have been begging for it for years, depending on how you view the current state of umpiring. I think the challenge system, I've long said this, Tyler, we've long said this on the show, is the perfect compromise. It is not full ABS. It is not every call is determined by the system. There's still the human element here. In fact, there's even, I would argue, like even more of a human element now because the pitcher, the catcher, or the hitter gets to challenge. And you can't now if you challenge in the majors, you'll see like the manager hold up his hand and just be like, no, wait, we have to determine if we're going to challenge. No, it has to be instant. You can't wait for like a signal from the bullpen or the dugout or wherever from a teammate to be like, hey, you should challenge that. It's like, no, you have to make the call immediately. And every team's going to be different about this too. Some teams, speaking to some teams, they don't even let the pitcher ever challenge because the pitcher is going to think everything's a strike. Some teams tell certain hitters, hey man, we like you as a hitter maybe, but like you're going to think everything's a ball. So let's not have you blowing through our challenges early. Some teams might caution players, hey, let's not use any of our challenges until after the 6th because we don't want to be out of challenges halfway through the game. Even if you swear that you're right, you're going to be wrong. And I think the success rate has been around 50%, which is pretty good. Like that means that umpires are still getting those close calls right about 50% of the time. And that means 50% of the time they're correcting them. And we're getting them correct now because of challenges. So it's not going to add a ton of time. And in fact, it's kind of fun to watch it happen. If you've ever seen it in a minor league ballpark, it gets put up on the big board, Hawkeye technology. Everybody gets excited, be like, oh, let's see how close it was.
It really is like cool. Like it's fun. Like seeing the, and I get it. Like I think I consider myself mostly a baseball purist. But I'm for ABS. Even if you remove me from capacity of being, an MLB employee, like I just think ABS makes the game better. I think this is a good balance. But to that point, it's cool. Like there's a moment of anticipation where you're like, oh man, what is this pitch going to be? And everybody, like you said, everybody kind of quiets down. Then the screen pops up and it swings around. It shows you the strike zone and the pitch comes in. And there's like that moment of anticipation where you're like, oh, which way is this going to go? Like it's kind of an unintended cool consequence, I feel like, of this.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It adds a certain element to the game that everybody's gonna. I think the most fun ones are. It will tell you how much it missed the zone by, and when it's like a tenth of an inch.
Yeah, sometimes it's like
Which
0.01 and you're like, "Ah, that should get a call though."
Yeah, and I will hear arguments of like, oh, the system is now determining a box that isn't really a box, and like, how do we decide on exactly where that's going to be? That has been like hashed out over the minor leagues over years and through all these tests and with player feedback, and of course, we got to see it in spring training this year, right? And everybody got a real taste of it, I think. And I mentioned success rate before. The overturn rate was 52.2%, and at AAA it was an even 50. So that's roughly where we're going to be around here. I think is in that 47 to 52 range in terms of calls getting overturned. But yeah, it's fascinating after years of talking about this, after so many players who were minor leaguers who like got used to this system are now in the majors. I don't think it's going to be that big of a change for those guys. Yes, if Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer are still pitching next year, they're going to have something to it. But we even got to see in the All-Star game this year, right? Like Tarek Skubal, I think, got excited to challenge a call in the All-Star game. So it's also going to be included in the postseason in 2026 and moving forward. Again, you want the calls to be right on the biggest stage, and now we're going to get a good look at them. So
The cool thing about
if
the
you're
Tarek
listening to this
Skubal
show,
moment
I'm sure.
was
Yeah, go for it.
he and Cal Raleigh were both mic'd up during the All-Star game, and as soon as that pitch went in, he was like, "What do you think, Cal?" Like that was pretty cool for us to get in on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know people have their opinions on in-game mic moments, but that was definitely a cool one in a game that should be about fun in the All-Star game.
Absolutely.
Now I'm gonna be interested to see how that works. Like, I'm sure pitchers and catchers are gonna be, hey man, what do you think? It's gonna have to be pretty quick. They can't conference about it. They can't have a mound visit over it. Usually, your best judge is going to be the catcher, right? Like the catcher is in the same position as the umpire. They're going to know whether they're the ones who have to stay. Like if a starting pitcher calls it, they may be out by the fifth or sixth, and it doesn't matter if there's no challenges to that. Obviously, they want to be team players, but like the catcher has to be there all 9 innings in most cases, and will want to keep those challenges or preserve them for moments where it really matters or where it's clear that a call needs to be overturned. So I think you'll see a lot of catchers using it, and then we'll get to judge. People have talked about like, does this take away framing? Well, the challenge system isn't going to be used on every pitch, so it's still important. But also, I think ABS judgment is going to be a new way to view catchers.
Yeah.
The ones who get a lot of calls overturned.
Holy cow. I had never even really thought about that. You think about like frame rate, pop time, all these different things that we measure catchers by. Now, yeah, like strike zone judgment, ABS strike zone judgment is a new metric potentially. That's fascinating.
Yeah, and if we're calling that baseline around 50%, and you're a catcher who gets calls overturned 75% of the time,
yeah,
you are literally clawing back strikes for your pitcher.
Man, that's a great point.
And that's I don't think that's going to be like baked into WAR anytime soon. Maybe you'd have to talk to good people at Fangraphs or Baseball Reference about that, but it's just another way to view catching. It's another way to evolve the game and make that position potentially even more important. And not less important that I think people thought this was trending towards. So a lot's more to come on that. I'm sure it'll be talked about plenty in spring training next year as everybody gets used to it being in games that matter at the major league level. But as a minor league podcast, as a group that has seen this for literal years now, we figured it's good to bring up and be like, this is not the end of anything. This is, if anything, I think exciting.
Yeah.
And hopefully means fewer calls are getting wrong or being called wrong at the top level. And we can stop with that. We can stop fans being like, well, if that wouldn't have been called a strike, we would have won this game. It's like, no. Now you have your opportunity.
Yeah. So that is the ABS situation for 2026 and beyond. Sam, what else around the minor league closing stages is on your radar right now?
Yeah, I mean, we've touched on this in the opening segment, obviously, and Ben was looking at it through the lens of Las Vegas clinching a PCL title with a sweep of the Tacoma Rainiers going up 2-0 in that series. But I just want to bring up, what this Las Vegas team is. Obviously, they're an A's affiliate. If you look up and down the roster, it's not loaded with A's prospects necessarily, but it's more. I don't want to call them A types, but it's a lot of veteran AAA guys. But I think what's most exciting, and Tyler, you can speak to this better than I can. What the atmosphere is going to be like in Vegas, and the fact that we are actually getting a team playing for a championship in its own ballpark. I mean, the whole point of having
We've never had before.
We've never had that, no. And what is that going to be like for the atmosphere? Normally, well, your reward is going to Vegas, and that's obviously a destination teams would love to end their year at. But now, it's the home team playing for something, and obviously, the hope is that the A's themselves will be in Vegas in a few years. So, like, these are future A's playing for a title in a place where someday maybe a World Series will happen as well. Tyler, what are you anticipating about that game?
I think it's going to be really cool. It is, when it's a neutral site, the minor league playoffs are weird anyway, from the standpoint of, fan attendance and all that type of stuff. When you work in minor league baseball, especially when you work on the team level, you're always kind of aware of the strange dynamic that comes along with the minor league postseason, due in large part to the fact that it happens after kids are back in school. So when you're playing a minor league playoff game on a Tuesday night, you're going to get 1,000 people. Whereas if you were playing a regular game on a Tuesday night in July, you'd have 6,000 or whatever it is. It's a little bit strange. And so similarly to that, the AAA National Championship game is kind of odd because it's a neutral site thing. Now, we still get great crowds. The fans were outstanding last year for the matchup between Omaha and Sugar Land that we did on the network, me and Jim. But to have Vegas in it is going to be really, really cool. And the Aviators, obviously located in Summerlin, so much of that fan base, the families that come out, are located near the ballpark. The ballpark is incredible. It's a great place to go for a game. So it's going to be cool. I'm really interested to see what the vibe is like from a baseball crowd standpoint, not just like a curiosity, this is a fun event to go to, but also a cheering interest. I mean, fans who are really excited to see their team in this spot. Vegas this year averaged 5,881 per gate, which is pretty great. They're top 10 in AAA in that category. It's going to be really cool, I think, to see what these fans are like trying to get their team to bring this home. They were the third most fans in the Pacific Coast League on average this season. Over 384,000 attended games there. Actually, no, check that. Over 491,000 attended games there. 384 was their road attendance number. So almost 500,000 fans have been into that ballpark this year. This is going to be really cool. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, and we're still waiting as of recording right now on who their opponent will be.
Yeah.
Over in the International League, it's between Scranton Wilkes-Barre and Jacksonville, two of which are more prospect loaded, I would say, as teams. On the Scranton Wilkes-Barre side, you have Spencer Jones, who can run very, very cold, as we've seen in recent months, but like has exceptional power from the left side and can play pretty good left or center field, I should say. He's going to strike out a lot. That's what he does. But if he runs into a ball, Tyler, I'm excited to hear you call it because it's going to go a long way in that Las Vegas desert. And then on the Jacksonville side, Joe Mack is a top 100 prospect for the Marlins. Catching prospect, has some pop in the bat. See how things kind of come together for him. Unfortunately, Thomas White pitched the other day for AAA Jacksonville, so he won't be getting the start. And Elmer Rodriguez Cruz is scheduled to start Thursday night for Scranton Wilkes-Barre. So we may not get like a loaded pitching matchup from either side, but still, those will be two exciting teams from the International League. Either way it goes, we'll get to see a top 100 prospect in the AAA National Championship game, which is not always a guarantee. So that's pretty exciting as well on the AAA side.
So that is coming up on Saturday night on MLB Network. And for on-field stuff, is that a wrap?
Well, let's just mention quick who won the AA leagues.
Oh, yeah, we should do that. Even though one of them still in progress, as we noted.
Still in progress. Literally, as we're speaking right now, Birmingham has a 6-2 lead over Montgomery going into the ninth inning. So if we play our cards right,
I was going to say, depending on how long we talk, we might be able to just update you on this in real time.
Birmingham is the road team. So I don't think I really want to draw this out long enough. Check out MiLB.com to find out who won the Southern League Championship, because this is a winner-take-all game 3. But in the Eastern League, your champions are the Binghamton Rumble Ponies, AA affiliate of the New York Mets. You want to talk about a loaded prospect team. I mean, that team was absolutely insane in how good it was. And that's even after they've moved on from players like Ryan Clifford and Jet Williams and Carson Benj, who were a real heart of this team, especially in the second half. But AJ Ewing, Jacob Reimer, Nick Morabito, Chris Suero, there are a lot of really good prospects on this Mets side, and they all contributed to an 8-2 win on Wednesday, giving them the win over the Erie Seawolves, which have a number of top 100 prospects like Max Clark, Kevin McGonigal, Josue Briseño, and Tyrone Lorenzo, who used to be a top 100 prospect, has dropped out from that status. But that was a loaded Erie team, and Binghamton took care of business, winning 8-2 on Wednesday night to win in 3 games there. And then in the Texas League, the Springfield Cardinals, who, wait for it, are a AA affiliate of the St. Louis Cardinals, they won that one easily in game 3, 13-1 on the road against the Midland Rockhounds.
Hey, in that one, big congratulations to longtime friend of the show, Jason Schwartz, who is the radio voice of the Springfield Cardinals. Jason was with the Lancaster Jethawks for a long time. He was out of play-by-play for a while after the Jethawks went away. He was with the Lake Elsinore Storm for a couple seasons in that time period, but got back in. He's with Springfield. They win a title. I'm so happy for him.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be a super fun way to come back into minor league baseball. And this team was certainly fun. I mean, they got Leo Bernal, who's a top 100 prospect for us right now. He was their cleanup hitter, and that one went 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a pair of walks. Leonardo Bernal also exceptionally good at controlling the running game. A big piece of Springfield's success this season. But they've also had prospects like Joshua Baez, somebody who had been in the Cardinals top 30, dropped off because he had major strikeout issues, hadn't played a ton, even spent some time on the development list in 2004 trying to correct some of those contact problems. Coming back this year, was not only a 2020 player, but it was a 2050 player, if you can believe it. For somebody who has really just average speed, hit 20 home runs and had 54 steals. So he really picked his spots. He was their number 3 hitter in that clinching game. Really strong pitching performances as well. Bryson Mott's got the start in that championship game. 6 innings, 1 earned run, 3 strikeouts. So the ball was in play a good amount, but just really held back a Midland team that was playing for a championship in its home ballpark. And he quieted Leo DeVries, who, like I said, was one of the hottest hitters on the planet at times for Midland in this Texas postseason, despite only being 18 years old. So really fun series over there in the Texas League. That's now over. There's only 2 leagues left. The Southern League, which will be definitely done by the time you guys hear this, barring more rain in Montgomery, Alabama, and the International League, and then we crown a AAA champion. Tyler, I've always wanted to ask announcers this, and you've done this game before, obviously, but do you have like a canned call ready to go if it's the Aviators or if it's the Jumbo Shrimp or if it's the Rail Riders?
No, I remember very early on in my, not even in my career, back when I was a kid, when I wanted to be a sportscaster, and you kind of switch from watching sporting events and consuming sports media just for the athlete side of it. And you also start to look at like all of the other elements, the things that you're interested in. I remember watching an incredible documentary that HBO Sports did on the Miracle on Ice team. And Al Michaels in that, I mean, that's arguably the most famous call in the history of American sports. Do you believe in miracles? And the question to Al Michaels was, did you have that prepared? And he said, like, no, I never even thought that there was a chance that they were going to win that game. And the thought that kept going through my mind as the seconds were counting down was miraculous. And so I just spun that into a question, do you believe in miracles? And that's what came of it. And ever since then, and reading subsequent interviews with him, with other broadcasters, everybody always says like there's really nothing as good as just taking it in the moment. You can have, the thought of what you're gonna say, but you're never gonna execute it right, or something's gonna change in the way the game flows or whatever it is. So you really just have to react to it in the moment. So yeah, no, I haven't really thought about it. But one of the neat things, we were talking about tidal droughts a little while ago. There are some cool contextual elements for that. For Las Vegas, they've been waiting around a long time and potentially get to celebrate something that they haven't done in forever. And for Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, or Jacksonville, they're going to have their own storylines as well. So it's cool that way. I actually just watched the video of Aaron Goldsmith and Ryan Roland Smith last night on the call for Cal Raleigh's 60th home run. They had the booth camera up, and those moments, man. I mean, just there is nothing that beats that. Being able to experience those big moments in real life and give voice to them. And so I'm excited for it. Whatever happens this weekend is going to be a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear it too. And it's the perfect way to end the season, right? Like I feel like it used to be. Well, no, I guess the AAA National Championship has been going on for a long time now, but like I like that it ends in this kind of pinnacle.
Yeah.
There is one game. We know exactly where it is on the calendar. All of minor league baseball can be focused on this one game. And I know MLB is going to steal part of the spotlight this weekend with some races still coming down to the wire, but like there's nothing like crowning an actual champion.
Yeah.
And to do it at the top level of minor league baseball, it's such a fitting end. So looking forward to that one in Vegas for sure.
It is pretty cool. It's, I think for baseball nerds like us, we would love if the Little World Series still existed, where we have a 3 or a 5 or a 7 game playoff to decide the AAA champion or the PCL or the International League champions. I get why that doesn't exist. But it's cool because it also creates something that's pretty rare in baseball, which is, outside of a game 7, it's a 1-game winner take all. We see it in the World Baseball Classic final. But other than that, in baseball, unless it's a tiebreaker game, which doesn't take it all, you really don't see it that often. So it's got the feeling of a game 7, and it's going to be cool. This will be fun. And that's coming up on Saturday night from Las Vegas. So with that, we're going to step aside, one final timeout, bring it on back with Ben, and we'll say goodbye on this week's episode of the Show Before the Show. Well, Ben, great work as always on the interviews. We don't often get to just like break news on the interviews, but that was like an exclusive. There are not like a whole lot of people who are tracking down the interview and finding out like, oh, that was a minor league front office member.
No, I mean, I couldn't get the Phillies Karen from a few weeks back, but at least I got the Phillies fan who dropped Edmundo Sosa's 3rd home run.
Oh, man. Well, final segment on this week's episode of the Show Before the Show. Before we get into Name That Dude, I am going to take the mic for a second and try to pay tribute to my dog who passed away. I know a lot of people who have listened to the show for a long time and followed me on social media for a long time. You knew my one-eyed Australian cattle dog, Laika. Sam got to know her many times in person. She was the best, the coolest dog that I've ever met, the best thing that ever came into my life. And a couple weeks ago, she unfortunately got sick. It progressed very quickly, and we had to say goodbye. For anybody who is eagle-eyed or eagle-eared or eagle something, you may have noticed that I did not finish the U18 Baseball World Cup in Okinawa. Had to come home after the opening round and made it home for one last night with her, which I was really grateful for. But it sucks, man. She was the coolest thing that I've ever encountered. And she, for every episode of this show that I was home, she was either laying in her bed next to me or pushing the door open to check and see what I was doing, or, barking or jingling her collar in the background or doing whatever. And so it's been really neat the last couple of weeks seeing a lot of people reach out who sort of felt like they knew her just through social media or through the podcast or through whatever. And that support has really helped a lot. And I just wanted to thank everybody for that and say goodbye to my best little bud. It's tough. It's tough, man. Losing a dog is not fun. and but I'm very grateful for all of you who felt like you knew her and yeah. So I wanted to throw that out there today, not to totally bring the podcast down, but I just wanted to say thanks to everybody who's reached out. So
Yeah, I mean, Leica really was the best as somebody who got to hike with her, got to drive to the mountains with her. We talk so much on the show about bat dogs and just ballpark dogs and like bark at the park nights and how important baseball dogs are. And Leica was a baseball dog through and through. I always got a kick out of, you would just hear her like you said, paw at the door to just like jingle in and just be like, you guys are doing stuff in here, huh?
That's one of the weirdest things now is like I can close the door to my office fully. Because I would always leave it, which I guess out of muscle memory, I did not do today, close it fully. I left it, slightly just like resting against the door jamb. Because, she would just nudge it open with her nose and look in like, you still doing that thing? You still doing the show? That was one of my favorite things. I was like, well, I can't just be locked in here, closed in here. At my old house, I used to have a little closet studio. And man, she hated when I would close myself in that. I hung up like, soundproofing material and all that, trying to make it like a legit studio. That never worked because she was sitting outside the door like, what are you doing in there?
You're supposed to be out here.
Yeah, we're supposed to be playing. We're supposed to be doing stuff, man. Cancer sucks horribly. Cancer in dogs sucks horribly. And if you got a dog, please give your dog some pats and scratches and love from me and from my wife and for Leica. And and with that, we get set to wrap up this week's episode of the show before the show. But before we do, time for the part of the show that makes us all smile, and that is a chance to do things like remembering Lewin Diaz with this week's edition of Name That Dude. I feel like Lewin Diaz would have been really difficult to get, but now maybe a few years down the road, we'll have a Name That Dude where I'll be like, this guy set the KBO record for most home runs by a foreign player. But no, this week, Benjamin Hill has the dude, which makes Sam Dykstra and me the dude guessers. Ben, the floor is yours.
Emotional journey on this week's show before the show podcast. But I do have a dude.
Mike Claire is behind you. I know Mike Claire. Mike Claire just walked by. How exciting!
And now Mike Claire walked by. The whiplash.
This really is. What a roller coaster.
I was just like, how are you reacting to what's happening in the room here?
But I got a dude. And this dude, he was born in 1960 in Carlisle, PA. It's kind of south central Pennsylvania.
Birthplace of Jim Thorpe, no?
That sounds about right, yeah. And there's a town in Pennsylvania called Jim Thorpe.
Yeah.
Which Jim Thorpe never went to. Were we talking about this recently? Yeah, it's very.
I think so. I went to Jim Thorpe.
We're not talking about Jim.
Oh no, Jim Thorpe. Jim Thorpe was born in Oklahoma, but he attended the Carlisle Indian School, which was in Pennsylvania, and then Carlisle College. Okay,
that's what it was. Yeah, and there's a Bricktown. Was it Chickasaw Ballpark? What's it called now? They have a statue
Chickasaw Bricktown Ballpark.
Chickasaw Bricktown Ballpark. He is an Oklahoma guy. This dude is from Carlisle, born in 1960, went to Liberty University, and then was drafted by the Los Angeles Dodgers, started his career in the Florida State League with the Vero Beach Dodgers in 1981. 82, he climbed up the ladder, starting in Vero Beach, then going to San Antonio at AA and Albuquerque in AAA, just for a little cup of coffee at the end of the year. And then 1983 was a big-time basher and masher. Okay, he was a hitter.
Oh, okay.
Put up numbers the likes which he never really put up again at any point in his career. Maybe it was that Albuquerque air with these 1983 Albuquerque Dukes, 32 home runs and 118 RBIs. But don't let that fool you. He had decent power, but he was never that kind of power guy again. And later in the 1983 season, he makes his debut with the Dodgers. 84, mostly back in Albuquerque. putting up good numbers, maybe not as strong as the year before. And once again, also spends some time with the Dodgers. 85, Albuquerque, most of the year. Once again, some time with the Dodgers. 86 goes to the Pittsburgh Pirates and becomes a regular. 86, 87, 88, 89, 90. Then he transitions to the Atlanta Braves, 91, 92, 93. Then the Houston Astros to wrap up his career in 1994. There's one very significant clue there in the major league career, transitioning from one team to another. He was on the Pirates, 85 through 90, then went to the Braves in 1991.
Oh, is this Slow Sid Bream?
It is.
Yeah.
Bream, yeah. It gets kind of obvious when you think about a Pirate who was on the 91 Braves, but I tried to draw it out a little bit. But,
I did not realize that that Sid Bream was a college draft selection. I don't, obviously I've not known a lot about Sid Bream's career outside of that, the one play. But yeah, I didn't know much about Sid Bream's early baseball career. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, on his Wikipedia page, so take it with a grain of salt, but he was, according to the Wikipedia says that according to Liberty University, he was one of Liberty's first true athletic stars as a first baseman for the Liberty Flames, and he also was a basketball standout as well. And he holds the Liberty record for highest career batting average and slugging percentage, as well as other baseball records at Liberty. And drafted in the second round in 1981 based on that strong performance.
There's another note on his Wikipedia page. He was the hitting coach for the State College Spikes back when they were a Class A short season affiliate of the Pittsburgh Pirates in the New York Penn League. He only was in that role for 1 year. It says the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette reported he left after a year because he wanted to spend more time with his family. Sports Illustrated said it was because, quote, fans complained, unquote, remembering the slide when he beat the Pirates as a member of the Braves in the 92 National League Championship Series in Game 7. Wow, interesting. Huh. I would not have thought. I would have thought, like, having been around that area and stuff, I don't think Pirates fans hold that serious of a grudge. If they were complaining, I'm sure it was like, we wish you were doing that for us instead of for Atlanta. But that would be kind of.
I'm trying to think of like an example.
Funny way to,
like,
he's not like poor
like
Bill
Buckner
Buckner
like
who's like,
for
exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Strange. But Sid Bream, that's pretty cool. That's a good one for this week's episode of Name That Dude. Well, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Show Before the Show, the final episode of the 2025 minor league baseball season. As wild as that is, as we get set to wrap this thing up on Saturday with the AAA National Championship game. And we have so much more to discuss next week. The minor league awards show and all the rest. We're going to have some fun. You can catch those dudes on MLB Network. Sam and Ben coming up on Monday for the minor league awards show. Jim Callis and I will be with you along with Sandy Charles coming up on Saturday night for the AAA National Championship game. And until next week, for Sam Dykstra and Benjamin Hill, my name is Tyler Maughan. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next week.